Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Tensions in the Strait of Hormuz has intensified with ongoing exchanges of fire between U.S. and Iranian forces, Iranian strikes on shipping and a UAE energy facility, and conflicting claims over attacks on U.S. warships. Oil prices are rising amid fears of disruption to one of the world's most critical shipping routes. The United States is pressing ahead with efforts to reopen the strait despite ongoing threats from Iran. Joining us today on TVP World to break this all down is Ellias Aghili Dehnavi, a political scientist and Middle East expert at Adam Mickiewicz University. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, good evening.
So in regards to the latest development, we're now seeing confirmed exchanges of fire between U.S. and Iranian forces. How close does this bring us to a broader direct military confrontation?
Well, any miscalculation at the moment might result in a greater military outbreak. And we are already on the edge of opening a new front in the Persian Gulf. So at the moment, two parties are calculating each other movements in the Persian Gulf to see how one retaliates to other parties' movement. For instance, Tehran is calculating the American rhetoric in practice, how serious they are when they say we'll escort the ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. And we have heard that Islamic Republic has launched attacks to Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates today, hitting oil refinery and oil reservoir infrastructures. Calibrated movement, and Iranians are, on the other hand, trying to see the reaction and reflection of their actions from the Americans. So we are on the edge, and any tiny miscalculation can again result in an eruption of a harder military confrontation, like the one that we experienced during the last month.
Right, so you mentioned a lot of it is the calculation on both sides, but is this still a controlled escalation where both sides are still trying to predict or calculation the move of the others, or has the situation moved into a phase where events are outpacing political decision making? In other words, are there any kind of misfire or something that could happen that can actually turn the heat up a little bit?
Well, to answer this question, we have to compare the rhetorics that we've been hearing from Tehran and Washington, D.C. Both capitals are insisting on their hegemonic narration. Tehran, on one hand, is insisting on controlling the Strait of Hormuz and insisting on pinning down its control over this strategic strait. And Washington, on the other hand, is pinning down its control on the freedom of sailing and naval navigation. President Trump has recently stated that we will reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This narration and this discourse uttered from one of the world powers signals a strong message to other countries and to their allies. So this brings about a very, enormous responsibility for the Americans. So there is the battle of discourses and the battle of hegemony. One wants to keep the control over the strait, and one wants to open it. So this is a sub-zero game from a realistic perspective, because the gain of one party will result in the loss of the other. So this moment is very crucial.
Right.
That's why I said miscalculation might result in another fiasco.
All right, like I mentioned, this is a zero-sum game. It does look like there is no win-win situation now with both sides playing up the rhetoric to its own people as well. Can you tell me, let's take a look inside of Iran. Does renewed confrontation strengthen the hardliners, or does it risk internal pressure due to the economic strain that has been building?
We've been actually hearing different voices from Iran, different contradictory voices have been rising that who's now controlling the armed forces. Because we are seeing another direction in the foreign policy. And today we witnessed another attack. So these kind of actions do not signal a positive, a unified voice. So on the other side of the story, the United States and its allies will interpret such action as in contradiction within the political structure. So I doubt this will lead the hardliners to gain more kind of popularity, because the continuity of the current condition will lead to the weakness of the, already weak and already close to collapse economic structure. And this is not my analysis. This is the international economic analysis that thousands of scholars have been articulating for the past 4 months. So this doesn't bring any legitimacy. This will harm the legitimacy. Economy has a direct relation with the satisfaction of the people. Such governments like the Islamic Republic, or for instance, other similar governments rely heavily on the satisfaction of the people, and this economic, measurement is very important even for the repressive forces that the Islamic Republic is using. So this doesn't, from an technical perspective and from a realistic perspective, this doesn't lead into satisfaction, even among the loyalists.
Right, and speaking of economic situation, of course, this is a very important strait that controls 20% of global shipping. Now, what does this mean for commercial shipping with this tension rising? Are we already seeing the beginning of a de facto shutdown of the strait again?
Well, this is not an official or even de facto shutdown. There are negotiations beyond the curtain. So specific countries are allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The control is mostly targeted towards the ships of the enemies. That's the exact phrase they're using. And specifically, Islamic Republic, Tehran is talking about the American and Israeli ships that, or even the ships that are affiliated with these two countries, or those that support them. So these two countries are under much pressure and much threat. The rest of the countries have to negotiate with the Islamic Republic. That's what they've been talking about for the past 2 months. And last month, they have put a strong emphasis on this matter, that if you want to pass, you need to talk. If you want to pass, you need to, conduct to this specific codes of conduct, and so on. But there is a very important point that our audience, should know. Iranians are not controlling, or not even the Americans. They're not both parties are controlling the Strait of Hormuz. They're just providing a set of control. Iranians are security provider. They're not controlling it. They sell security. On the other hand, Americans are trying to desecuritize this already securitized strait. So we can see that the matter of control has been shattered. Both parties are just trying to provide security. So from my perspective, this is not a control. This is a battle to provide. This is a conflict to provide and provide for security.
All right, that's a very interesting development there. Speaking of other regional actors, do you think countries like the United Arab Emirates or Israel will become even more directly involved in the coming days?
Well, we're talking about two countries with totally different, political orientation. Israel, of course, is a direct yes. If there is going to be, if we are going to witness another conflict, Israel will, of course, get itself 100% engaged. But talking about United Arab Emirates, a country, an Emirates that has built its legitimacy and existence on economic prosperity and economic perspectives, it is less likely, I can say under 30% even, that the United Arab Emirates engage itself in a full-fledged confrontation with Iran, even a controlled one, because UAE, in terms of geopolitics and geography proximity, they're close neighbors, very close neighbors. So all the Iranian missiles can easily and successfully hit their targets in the United Arab Emirates, and they already know that. So at the moment, I mean, Abu Dhabi tries to just act as a defender, but and on the other hand, they try to resort to international law to, rely more on their alliances with the United States, United Nations Security Council, and also the Gulf Council cooperation.
Right, now going back to the tension that is rising right now, and while both shooting at each other, what now do you think is most likely to trigger some sort of wider conflict? Is it some sort of miscalculation or some deliberate escalation or some single high impact strike that might just set the whole thing off?
Of course, miscalculation is, on the table. And as I said, any kind of miscalculation can bring about another conflict. But the more important thing that most people neglect is the continuity of the current condition. No war, no peace. It's even more dangerous than miscalculation. This cannot continue for a long time because the world monetary system is, getting hurt, is suffering from enormous losses. Energy value, products value across Europe and North America, Southeast Asia, East Asia. So the continuity of the current condition, this nightmare status quo, need to be revised. So by status quo, I'm referring to the very, very current condition. Negotiations are being very, dramatically slow. We are just waiting for another confrontation to pop up. So we see that the continuity is step by step dragging us into a new hole, a new dark hole. So this is very dangerous. Both parties need to, put their cards on the table. Both parties need to kind of find a solution, a resolution to the current situation.
All right, and we'll have to see how this develops. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it. And thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Appreciate it. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.